Hello eye-checking community, my name is Michael and in this tutorial we will talk about the group node in Blickshift Analytics. On the screen we can see the same data which I've used in the previous tutorial about differences between markings and labels in Blickshift Analytics, and we can see three different labels which describe three different parts of the recording. So we have this first label here, searching for the label on the x-axis. We have the label focus on bar peak and finding corresponding value on y-axis. And these different labels describe three different eye movement patterns in the experiment. If you want to learn more about how I came to these three labels and how we labeled the data, please have a look at this tutorial. So the question is, what can we do with these labels? In this tutorial, I want to show you how we can use the group node feature in Blickshift Analytics to sort the data with respect to different labels. If you are new to this channel and if you did not watch the previous videos, labeling in Blickshift Analytics means the following. I click here and zoom into a few data, and then you will immediately understand what labeling means. I scroll here to the right side. We are now the level on single data lines. So every line here, which we can see in the table, represents one gaze point in the data. So we have here the gaze X and the gaze Y column describing the gaze points, which you can see here on the left side in the visualization. And when I scroll here to the right side, we can see here the labels, which we set in the previous tutorial. The labeling component adds an additional column to the data set, and in this column we store each label. And when I scroll down now, here we have here the label searching for label on the x-axis, then focus on bar peak. We can also see that in the bar graph in the middle, and then we can see here corresponding finding corresponding value on the y-axis. Here we can nicely see the change of the labels both in the table and in the bar graph visualization from the other participants. I already did that beforehand and I want to show you the results. So I activate here in the label component all the other participants as well, and I created here a triplet of visualizations which are behind the labeling node, and I click on them, and here I can see now the labelings or the labels of the other participants as well. I rearrange the windows a bit. I zoom out in the scan path visualization, so I press the control key on the keyboard and use the mouse wheel. When I go now here to the bar graph, I can do the same. So I press again the control key on the keyboard and use the mouse. So here we can see now that the overall time which the participant took for getting the information from the bar chart is different. So the bar graphs have different time lengths, and we can see the three labels which we set beforehand. And when I go now here with the mouse through the experiment, all the other windows are synchronized. We can see in every scan path visualization the different parts of the recording, and we can see the labels which we've used for describing these different parts. You can find the group node feature in the menu, for example here in the Workflow Explorer. So I go to Analyses and then I choose Group Node. The group node looks the same like every component in Blickshift Analytics. On the left side we can see the data set, the scenario and the participants, and on the right side we can see the panel. In there I have to choose the column which we will use for getting the information about how we sort or how we want to sort the data. I choose here the label column. This is the column containing all the labels in our experiment. And now the software sorts or groups the data with respect to this label column. And you immediately can see what the result is if I create a scan path visualization based on this group information. So I go to the menu, visualizations, I choose scan path. I zoom out a bit. And here we can see now that the group node creates several data sets. And for us, interesting is this data set about finding corresponding value, focus on bar peak, and searching for label on the x-axis. So I choose here the finding corresponding value on y-axis data set. And when I activate now all the participants, I zoom out, I can see that these visualizations now only represent the step when the participants try to find the corresponding value of the bar peak on the y-axis. So this was the last part of the experiment. When I go back a bit, we can see here the few visualizations of the step focus on bar peak. I can also aggregate the scan path. So let's click here on the aggregate button. I zoom in, so I use the control key and the mouse wheel again. And this is the step when the participants focused on the bar peak. Or if I'm interested in only the step searching for label on the x-axis, here we can see now the first step of the experiment. So the participants started their eye movements from the center of the screen and then went down to the x-axis. There they tried to find the bar with the label 7, so this is this one, and then from there they went up, what we've seen before, and then tried to find the corresponding value on the y-axis. So what these 3 visualizations show us are the 3 single steps of the experiment. And these 3 single steps are based on the labeling which we did here beforehand. And this is the main functionality of the group node. We set here the sorting column to the column with the identifier label column. And the group node then takes the information here from this column to sort the data. The cool thing with this feature is that we do not need any value search. If we have, for example, several labels in the data and many participants, we do not want to use the value search, for example, because it's more efficient if we let the software to group the data with respect to all the labels in the software. By the way, if you want to learn more about the value search in Blickshift Analytics, please have a look at this video. In summary, we created 3 labels for the data. We labeled the data. So we got finally, here in this case, 9 participant data sets with 3 labels. And then we used the group node for sorting the data with respect to these labels. And we finally visualized the data with respect to these 3 different labels. And we get finally these 3 nice visualizations. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so that you'll never miss a new video on this channel. And I'm looking forward to see you in the next tutorial.